Hello, guys, and welcome to 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐸𝐿 World Cup Match Day 1. Last day for this match day. We are going to analyze Group G and Group H, of course, with Bachanian and Dani Fisichella. Hello, guys.
Hello, morning, guys.
And in my opinion, I have to say this is the most interesting day in the first match day, although, of course, every day we have very good games, but we have Brazil playing, for instance. So, guys, remember, leave your comments, tell us your tips, and press the like and subscribe. So let's start with Group G. But we are going to start with Switzerland, Cameroon. Perhaps people can think that this is not as a good game as some others that we are going to find in the World Cup, Dani, but this Switzerland, and you know very well because they qualified ahead of Italy in the qualifiers in the Euro. They are very competitive. Also, French people know it very well because they kicked them out from the Euros in the last 16 round, and with a different manager, now they have Murat Yakin. Is still a difficult team to beat with some good players like 𝐬𝐵olo, and this Cameroon team is a classic in the World Cups, but is not as strong as some other years, apart from 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐻𝐿, of course, the star of Cameroon.
Well, I think Switzerland are competitive. They established themselves as a force in European and world football. This is the fourth consecutive World Cup. And in the group against Italy, you know, they were very tidy, not very spectacular. 2-0 against Italy, thanks to Jorginho missing 2 penalties. But, you know, they were compact. They were exactly what you would expect from them. Only 15 goals scored in the qualifiers and 2 conceded. It is interesting the fact that they changed manager halfway through the process, so they're without Petkovic and with Yakin. And with Yakin, they seem to try to press a little bit higher, try to be a little bit more proactive and not very reactive. But obviously, because the lack of goal scorers, their strength lies in midfield with players like Xhaka, Freuler, the back line. It could be a back 3 or a back 5. Always very solid. They didn't start the year particularly well. They lost 5 games in 2022, but including to England, Portugal, and Spain, which are all nations they're going to go to the World Cup. But in the end, they won the last 2 in the League A of Nations League, so things go back in track. You know, 15 in the FIFA rankings, Switzerland, not to be disrespected at all. And this is a very important game because I think this group could go down to the goal difference. If Cameroon finishes bottom, then it depends how many Serbia and Switzerland can score against Cameroon. And then the last game is actually Switzerland-Serbia, which could be the decider, but it could well end in a draw, provided they both lose against Brazil. There are some interesting players, of course, in Switzerland, especially 𝐬𝐵𝐻𝐿, scored 8 for Monaco in all competitions. I don't think they got in 𝐬𝐵𝐻𝐿 and Okafor 2 great strikers to dominate possession. They're more counter-attack strikers, if you like. But they play a Cameroon side that, you know, no pressure on Cameroon. 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐸𝐿 said they're going to win the World Cup in the final against Morocco.
You have to be optimistic.
You know, it's a nice way to go into the tournament. You got absolutely no pressure. But they finished third, actually, in the Africa Cup of Nations. The way they qualified, they beat Algeria in the 4th minute of stoppage time. So they've been through some hurdles, 4 losses in 7 games under the new manager, the legend that was Rigobert Song. But as you mentioned, some good players in front. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐻𝐿 scored 10 in all competition. Onana is the goalkeeper of Inter now. Zambo Anguissa, Napoli. So individually, all good performances. And of course, up front, Aboubakar, you know, former of Porto, used to be very good striker in Europe, scored 8 of the 14 goals of the teams in the African Cup of Nations. Of course, they also got Mbeumo doing well at Brentford. So collectively, a good side. I'm not sure in terms of experience for a tournament how good they're going to be. Look, I got a couple of bets here. The first one for me is I think Switzerland are going to win it probably, but I don't think they're going to trash Cameroon. So I'm going to go for a nation handicap 0.75 for Cameroon, which pays quite well. It pays around 191, if I'm not wrong. That means if they only lose by 1, you lose half your stake, but obviously if they draw or win, you win your stakes.
I have to say, Leo, that the odds to back Switzerland, in my opinion, they are a bit too low. Of course, we shouldn't disrespect Switzerland, but 1.8 Switzerland to beat Cameroon, I don't think this is going to be that straightforward.
No, straightforward it won't be, although I agree they are the favorites for this one. And you know, of course, Dani mentioned a few times that the third game of the group for Switzerland will be against Serbia. And that one, which is a game which potentially could send someone through and someone out. And there will be many emotions involved in with the old geopolitical context between these two teams or with some players of Switzerland. So I believe that maybe the team who handles the emotions better will be the one who we're going to see advancing. Yesterday, Dani, you know, we were talking with Edu and with Alan when we are like analyzing Group C, and we are talking about Mexico having this obsession with trying to reach the quarterfinals after getting out 7 times in a row in the last 16.
El quinto partido, the famous quinto partido.
Exactly, the famous quinto partido. But, you know, with Switzerland, it's quite a similar picture in a way, because they have been knocked out in the round of 16 in 3 of the last 4, and even failed to advance to the knockout stage in South Africa 2010. And the last time they reached the quarterfinals, we need to go back to 1954. So I think there will be, you know, this pressure, this intention to finally make it to the quarterfinals. But of course, first they need to make it out of this group. And I agree with Dani. The strongest part of this team of Switzerland is in the midfield, guys, with Xhaka having maybe his best season in Arsenal. He's becoming a box-to-box player, unbelievable season. Let's see if he's fit, Dani, because he played only 15 minutes against Wolverhampton in the last match in the Premier League. And then in defense, you have Akanji, you have Schär. So my doubts are up front. So with the Shaqiri, the never-ending Shaqiri, but we don't know in which shape he's gonna come. Also now coming from the MLS. And you mentioned as well, guys, about the inexperience maybe of Cameroon. At least the experience comes from their coach, from their manager, who is the most cap player of all time in Cameroon, Rigobert Song. He has a peculiar record, Dani. He's with Zinedine Zidane. At least his name is along Zinedine Zidane. They are the only 2 players who had seen a red card in 2 different World Cups. So Rigobert Song can tell their kids that he has something similar to Zinedine Zidane, and we will see if Motin and Sam Anguissa can translate, of course, their form into Qatar. I will be looking at goals over 1 in the second half with the odds of 1.70. We will see how the weather affects all these games. So I started to believe maybe second half are going to have a different tempo than the first half. And I will go for both teams to score, which comes with odds of 2.31.
Actually, the weather...
the goals. I like the goals market, because I think if you look at the forward line of Cameroon, perhaps we could say they are stronger than Switzerland. You know, you got Abubakar, AFCON Golden Boot. Once he said he's better than Salah. I mean, whatever. 𝐬𝐭𝐿𝐴.
𝐬𝐭𝐿𝐴, 5 goals in the African Cup of Nations.
I mean, he scored a lot. He scored more than Salah, of course. I think up front, Cameroon are better, but as a collective, maybe Switzerland better. So I like also the over 2 goals here, 185. Obviously, if there are only 2 goals in the game, you get your money back.
𝐬𝐭𝐿𝐴 can be the hero for Cameroon thanks to his late goal. They are in this World Cup. And it's also important what Leo said about the weather. Let's see how hot it's in Qatar, because this game is going to be played in the central time of the day. And there, if it's hot, Cameroon, of course, they will have at least the edge on the weather, because they are used to play, of course, with hottest weather than Switzerland. This is the first game in this group. I think it's going to be very contested group for the second spot, because then we have Brazil, Serbia in the evening, the last game of this match day, of this day on Thursday. And Serbia, they have a very good team. Be careful with Serbia, because they top their group ahead of Portugal, and they have Mitrovic, who is playing great for Fulham. They have Vlahovic, Juventus star. They have Milinkovic-Savic, both of them. They have Tadic. They have also Gudel, for instance, scoring goals for Sevilla. So this is a very good game Leo, let's see if they are able to challenge the biggest favorites, Brazil. Despite the solidity they were showing in the 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐶𝐿, especially defensively, and they have a great record. Leo, if we check the roster of Brazil, the weakest part, name by name, is in the defense.
Yeah, you can tell that. I mean, you know, in defense, although they still have like great names, they have Thiago
Dani
Silva
Alves.
with his Dani Alves 39, Thiago Silva 38 years of age. And actually, you know, with Thiago, he's in the Premier League after Raheem Sterling. He's the one who played the most minutes with Chelsea, and they were like trying not to arrive to the stage with Thiago Silva playing so many minutes. That's why they brought Fofana. That's why they brought 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐿𝐴, but Fofana got badly injured. 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐿𝐴 never got started yet. So in the end, Thiago Silva is playing a lot of minutes. So coming from that, I don't know if he will play all the minutes with Tite, although for him is always a starter, Thiago. But then the pool of talent, Dani is unbelievable. They should be forced to share some of it, to be honest, you know, with other national teams. And when you think that Brazil won the Copa America in 2019, in that team, they didn't have Vinicius, Martinelli, they did not have Rafinha, they did not have Rodrigo, Anthony, Paquetá, or Richarlison. No, Richarlison was there, but Paquetá wasn't. So it's true, on that time they had Firmino and Coutinho, who are now both out. But it's true that under every inch of sun in Brazil, an amazing player. And look at Uruguay squad. You will find 4 strikers, 2 of them on the last dance, Cavani and Suarez. And Tite called 9. And apart from Neymar, the rest could play in another 2 or even 3 World Cups. Dani, I don't know if you agree that, Tite in the last friendlies, he started to play. He left a little bit aside the 4-3-3 with Vinicius, Neymar, and Rafinha up front, and he started to play with a very attacking-minded 4-2-3-1, because along Casemiro was not Fabinho, was not Fred, was Paquetá. So basically, you have Casemiro in front of the defense, and then it's Paquetá, Rafinha, Neymar behind Richarlison, and Vinicius on the other side. But we talk about this many times when we were doing like 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐿 qualifiers, that Tite has this conservative approach when it comes to big games. So I cannot see him playing this type of formation with these players, with 5 attacking-minded players on a knockout stage game. And actually, I don't know if he's going to do it now against Serbia, because Paquetá is not 100% fit, although he played in the last weekend with West Ham. So I believe he's going to go maybe for a more conservative approach with Casemiro and Fred, or Casemiro and Fabinho. Do you see it like that?
Well, look, I think, Leo, it's difficult to find the faults in Brazil, who are the favorites, but we need to try and look for angles here. Let's clear it straight away. I think they're going to cruise through the group. They're going to go through the group easily with 9 points, and then we'll see. But, you know, Leo, there is a common saying in football that says attackers win you games, defenses win you tournaments. I think Brazil's best bet to win the tournament overall is probably stick to a more defensive line. If you look at the 3 center-backs they have, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, Militao, they will be very well suited to play 3 at the back. The problem is that they haven't got the wing backs. In 2002, when they won the World Cup in Japan, they were playing with 3 at the back, but they had Cafu and Roberto Carlos. Now, I don't know if Tite can afford this with Alexandro and Danilo, but also historically, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know you watch South American football much more than I do. When a South American team wins the World Cup, when Brazil wins the World Cup, usually they have 2 strong holding midfielders, Kleberson and Gilberto Silva in 2002, Dunga and Mauro Silva in 94. They need the European style holding midfield that are strong. Of course, they got one in Casemiro, but they can't play with Paquetá next to him. I think they're going to be too exposed in the knockout stages. No problem with this game. Look, if we have to break down the game, they go into the game with a lot of great form, you know, a 75% win rate for Tite, who's been in charge for 6 years. They only lost 1 game, of course, to Argentina, the Copa America final, undefeated in 17 World Cup qualifiers. But we need to take these stats with a pinch of salt. And I would say the same for Argentina. I know they're going to break the record of Italy for being unbeaten, but they've only played a handful of extra South American teams in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You need to put them to the test. And Serbia, by the way, good team, undefeated in qualifiers. They scored 18, only lost 3 in 20 games under 𝐾𝐿𝐴. What a change of mentality is given to them. They are a very attacking, very proactive team. We mentioned the strengths up front with Mitrovic, Vlahovic, 𝐜𝐭𝐴_𝐲𝐵, who for me is the best player in Italy by far. Of course, you got Tadic. The problem with Serbia, I think, again, is at the back. Is the opposite with Brazil. They're going to play with 3 at the back. Milenkovic probably is the best one. The wing backs, Kostic and Zivkovic, very attacking. The goalkeeper, 𝐬𝐭𝐴_𝐷𝗫𝐿, which I watch every week playing for Torino, doesn't convince me at all. Let's go to the odds here. I got 2. Brazil to score in both halves. I think they're going to score plenty of goals in this group, maybe over 9, over 8. So I think they're going to score in both halves here. 2.25, for example.
Goals, no,
Edu, sorry,
Leo. I think we could see a lot of goals because, as Dani said, of course, Serbia have a lot of firepower up front as well.
Yes, definitely. I will go as a minimum with goals over 2.5 with 1.85 with those odds. Yes, I believe and I expect as Dani goals in here, and I believe Brazil to win first half, which comes also with odds of 2.07. And just to add something a little bit more, what Dani said on Serbia. Yes, we said how many attacking amazing players they have, but that the weakest link in the team is the defense. Just look also at what happened with the goalkeeper. 𝐾𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐶𝐞𝐜𝐿, the manager used 6 of them during his 20 games discharge. That's a lot. Many goalkeepers for a very small size of games. 6 goalkeepers in 20 games. They only kept 3 clean sheets in 14 games between the World Cup qualifying and the Nations League. So definitely there is a weak link there.
Well, this is one of the few games that the bookies expect an over 2.5 goals, 1.85 under 2.13.
Yep. I think if we can combine with what we said, I think we are on the same page. Brazil win and over 2.5 goals, probably the most likely outcome. That comes out as 271. So like a Brazil win 3-1, 2-1 wins you 271, for example.
Serbia, they haven't qualified yet to the last 16 route in any of the 2 World Cups that they played as an independent country, in my opinion, and I want also your opinion. I think Serbia, they will qualify apart from Brazil. Do you see Switzerland? Do you see Cameroon? Dani, Leo?
I think
Serbia. I see Serbia.
I see Serbia because it could go down to the goal difference. I think they're going to score more goals than Switzerland.
All right, we agree here. By the way, I checked the other day and I didn't know, Dani, that the 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐴, both they were born in Spain, actually.
Yes.
They were born in Spain, but they play for Serbia. And the last group, also very interesting and very open to surprises. I think this is one of the groups where we can see more surprises in this World Cup, starting with Uruguay and South Korea. Uruguay, one of the teams that many people see also as the dark horse, or a team that can arrive very, very late in this World Cup because they have very good players and a star like Federico Valverde, one of the best players in the 2022 season. And they have, of course, Darwin Núñez also getting used to the Premier League. They have some old players, as always, Luis Suarez, Arrascaeta, Godín, Leo. We know how Uruguay knows how to manage these kind of tournaments. Now Maestro Tavares is gone. We have Diego Alonso.
Yep.
And they are facing South Korea, which can be and is always a difficult team when you have to play them. And this time, even they have 2 stars playing in the Premier League. Of course, we all know Son. Do you also expect a lot of things from this Uruguay? Because they were not convincing at all during the qualifiers.
They were not, but since Diego Alonso took charge, let's see, he's only been managing them for 9 games, winning the last 4 matches in the qualifiers, only conceding 1 goal, and to be honest, he's also in charge of of a changing paradigm in the Uruguayan football, because we've been always, I grew up with the Uruguayan garra charrua, no, in my mind, everyone repeating that, and now it's completely changed. It's just by having a look at the midfielders, they are also, it's a squad which is still divided between the historical players and the rookies, because you have on one side Muslera, Godin, Martin Cáceres, Lucho Suarez, Cavani, who they're all gonna play on their fourth World Cup. It's the last dance for them. But then you have Sergio Rochet, the goalkeeper, Matias Oliveira, Fede Valverde, Nicola Cruz, Facundo Pelistri, Darwin Núñez. They're all gonna be, surely, or in most cases, they're gonna start in the first 11, and they're gonna play their first World Cup. And then you have Rodrigo Bentancur. Yeah, it's gonna be his second World Cup, but his first one was when he was only 19 years of age in Russia. So in this context, I believe, and I can feel that the Uruguayan performance generates excitement, yes, but also some uncertainty, because there are some doubts of how a young team could react at being at the biggest stage of all. So for me, Uruguay is in a condition to upset anyone in this World Cup. I would say yes. Can they top Group? Yes. Group H, they can do it as well. Can they finish second? Highly likely, I would say. And they will face Brazil in the last 16, and then anything could happen in a Brazil Uruguay match. In midfield, as I was saying, you will have a 4-4-2 as Alonso is gonna play. We might find like Valverde, who has goals, very important for the midfield. Bentancur started to score now in the last few games for Tottenham. You have Vecino, maybe the most defensive qualities in that midfield, and then you can choose the Arrascaeta, who can also put the ball on the opposition box, and then between Cavani, Núñez, Suarez, and Maxi Gomez, two of them will play. I believe that will be Suarez and Núñez, but they are, yes, favorites for this first match against South Korea, who are, Dani, I believe, in a transition period, because they are changing the style. They used to be this team until Paulo Bento took charge of them 4 years ago, who used to play a defensive style and trying to play counter-attack. Let's ask Germany, if not. That's how they beat them in 2018. But now they're trying to build a little bit more from the back. That is causing problems for them. Just look at the 5-1 to the defeat against Brazil, where many of the goals came from mistakes trying to build from the back. And then I cannot read too much from their qualifying campaign, Dani, because they won 7 out of 10, yes, but they played Syria, Iraq, Lebanon. I don't know how much we can take from that.
No, you can't. I mean, it's completely spot on. The qualifying campaign was easy. They lost 1 game. They finished behind Iran. Look, a lot for South Korea depends how fit Son Heung-min is. Yeah. I know it's silly to make it only about one player, but he was the golden boot of the Premier League last season, and now he's out with an eye socket injury. If he doesn't play, this team is 35% less dangerous, to be generous, than what he used before. Look, I think with South Korea, you can expect them to be high energetic, compact, disciplined, organized. I'm not sure if Song is not there, whether they got the cutting edge. We mentioned, of course, Son, but obviously the another big player is 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲, playing for Napoli, is doing really well. But strangely, this is South Korea that has got a lot of domestic players. Only 7 players of South Korea play in Europe in this selection. So they are a bit of an unknown quantity. We really don't know what to make out of them. And Uruguay, I mean, Leo, you break them down really, really well. My only question is, can they play with 2 up front if the 2 are Suarez and Cavani? Can they actually manage it against an energetic team like Korea? Can they manage to press them? Can they manage to put them in danger in their own half if those 2 are up? Obviously, if it's Darwin Núñez, is a different proposition. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. I think a lot of the key players for Uruguay, it looks like it's 2014. Really, is the same squad. We'll see. I know I got a feeling Uruguay might crash out of this group, but as you mentioned, they could be really the dark horse. We'll see. We'll see what kind of lineups Santos goes for. In terms of odds, I think it could be a conservative game, maybe at the beginning. So I like 2 here. South Korea Asian handicap plus 0.25 in the first half, which pays 192, which means if the first half is a draw, you win half your stake. If South Korea wins the first half, you win 192. Or maybe first half a draw, 215, bearing in mind Uruguay haven't scored many goals in the qualifiers. They finished with goal difference 0, 22 scored, 22 conceded. So normally they are very tight margins.
Leo, which are your odds? Yeah, what do you feel about this game?
To be honest, I believe that Uruguay can make it through on this group, this club of young talent. For me, Edu and Dani generates excitement, but we don't know how it's going to happen. Let's see how the ball rolling. But now, when we're doing a preview, I believe they can really go through. So, to be honest, Uruguay to win, I believe it's at a decent 1.85. Does not look bad to me. And also, Uruguay Asian handicap 0 for Uruguay for the first half with odds of 1.90 also is something I will be looking at.
This is going to be, I think, a very contested group. Anyone can go through. Of course, Portugal and Uruguay, they are the favorites. But let's see, because analyzing the next game, Portugal-Ghana, Portugal arrived to this World Cup with many problems. In my opinion, Fernando Santos is not a great manager for this group of talents. They have the Cristiano Ronaldo issue after also his interview, complaining and criticizing everyone around him. So let's see how is the atmosphere. Portugal, they are not getting great results, especially against big teams lately. And they are facing, the first game is against Ghana. Is worse, no, this Ghana than the previous one that we saw in the World Cup, but still they have good talents. That Thomas Partey is always a very physical team. Dani, do you see or can you see Portugal as an upset in this World Cup? Even if we check the roster, is one of the best teams, of course, on paper.
No, I don't. I think they're going to qualify easily. And actually, I will almost tip them as a potential winners because the odds are so good. Not because I think they can win, but because if you look at the price for Portugal, it could be like 15-1 for them to win the tournament. Look, they only got one serious injury, which is 𝐬𝐭𝐽. Apart from that, is the full squad. And I think that's an advantage in this very moment, when everyone has got injured. Today, last one was 𝐿𝐭𝐚𝐲, who will miss out from the France team, but we got loads. I think they have to, if they can pull it together under Santos, I agree with you, it's not very inspiring, but it's pragmatic. If they pull together, they got probably one of the best squads. If you look at the complexity, look at the defense, for example, it's very strong. Diaz and Pepe, then the fullbacks, Cancelo, Mendes, Dalot, Rafael Guerrero, that's a very good side. Of course, the goalkeeper, Rui Patricio. And then in midfield, you got a lot of choice. Fernandez, Neves, Vitinha was doing so well at Fulham, Bernardo Silva, Moutinho. I mean, you can change them all, and all good players keep the ball well. And then of course up front, Ronaldo, João Felix, Leao again has been great for Milan, and I think he's been saving himself a little bit. The thing is, they only won 3 of the last 13 World Cup matches back to 2016, only won 1 at Euro. The preparation for the World Cup is not being great. They only won 1 of 5 against opposition they play in the World Cup. But, is the experience, in the tournament experience, and I think they do have the cutting edge. Ghana, bit difficult to read them. They are the lowest ranked team in the World Cup, by the way, ranked 61st in the FIFA standing for how much it counts. But if you look at them, they are the worst team. I don't think they are the worst team, but that's what the FIFA standings say. Tricky road to the tournament. Africa Cup of Nations for Ghana, disappointing. They lost to Comoros, in the final day of the African Cup of Nations. They sacked the manager afterwards, brought Addo, so a bit of change there. And the way they qualified, you can say it's been lucky. They beat Nigeria on away goals. And the chances from Ghana come from the fact that in the meantime, they managed to recruit more players.
That's the story.
Yeah, how can they buy new players? Well, they kind of naturalize them. Lamptey, Iñaki Williams, a bit of transfer market there for Ghana as well. And, I think it benefits them, Lamptey,
Absolutely.
Iñaki Williams, definitely benefits them. And, they got good players in different positions, especially up front. Sowa plays for Bruges. Kudus, of course. So, individually good. Put together as a team in terms of a strategy, I'm not sure. Only won 2 games in 13, in 2022, were defeated, of course, 3-0 by Brazil. I think experience count. I think pedigree counts. Portugal are more solid. I'm going to go for a Portugal win and over 1.5 goals. Put them together in a mini ACCA, 2-14. So if Portugal wins 2-0, you win 2-14.
Yes, I think Edu, Dani, that Ghana is gonna struggle to score. It's just like, they won half of their games only in qualifying, 4 out of 8. But from the 5 African sides that they make it to Qatar, they were the lowest scorers, only 8 goals in qualifying. When you compare to Morocco, who scored 25, to Senegal, who scored 16, Cameroon 14, and Tunisia 12. So they are struggling in attacking creativity. This said, to be honest, I'm very curious on seeing Kudus at the World Cup, because the Ajax player is a very interesting one mostly because of his versatility. He scored only 3 goals as an international for Ghana, but he provides attacking quality and versatility. He played for Ajax and Ghana in different positions. He played anywhere in midfield. He played as a false 9. He played as a winger. But yes, absolutely. For me, Ghana, I cannot see them like making too much harm in this group. And the best story of them so far has been the recruitment. Yes, I will add also Tariq Lamptey. I don't know if you mentioned it, Dani, but also a good player, the one from Brighton, who was from Chelsea up to 2-3 years ago. So, and then in Portugal, for me, yes, every time you look, Edu, you were saying, you look at the rows, at the squad, and you are in awe, like, oh my God, look at this quality player. But by the time you remember they are being coached by Fernando Santos, it's like the mood flattens, But I had the feeling that it's interesting to see how he's going to manage the Ronaldo situation, because we started to see from last season, how is it becoming to have Ronaldo within the starting 11, how that affects the style of play. And you could see that also in the last few games from Portugal, where they could not manage. They got up front first, they scored first, but then they couldn't manage to be in front of the game. And I had the feel many of that it comes to having Ronaldo in the team. He cannot pressure. He affects the way other players are playing. The same that happens in Man United. So we're gonna see if Fernando Santos is gonna stick to him. It's gonna be his last World Cup, of course. And the narrative around Portugal is about this, the last chance for Ronaldo to win it.
Indeed, I have many doubts. Many times also is very defensive. Dani, this manager, when they are under pressure, they try to lock down, and with all the quality they have up front, I think they lack ambition under Fernando Santos.
Yeah, no, they do. I think it's a defensive way, but defenses, as I said, they win you tournaments sometimes. Look at the way they won Euro 2016. They weren't the most spectacular, and I think they do have the personnel to defend positionally if they have to. Especially with Ruben Diaz, I see them in like a strong center back. But we'll see. I think we will expect Portugal to outscore opposition in the group stage. I think they'll qualify. It could be their years, twist and turns, things could change. But, for this one, I stick for a win and maybe a large one, over 1.5 goals.
Yes, and I will go for goals as well, Edwin, here. Goals over 2.5 at 2.2 sounds reasonable. And also Portugal to score in both halves, slightly higher, comes with odds of 2.5.
And also, you could add maybe Ronaldo to score, because he never scored in a World Cup group stages, same as Messi, never scored in the group stages of a World Cup.
No, in the knockout stage.
Knockout stage or group
knockout
stage?
stage?
Knockout stage. Sorry. Is Messi who never scored in the group stages?
Well, no, Messi scored in group stage as well, but not knockout. Both the same.
Okay, all right, got it wrong.
Both the same.
Both the other way around.
They haven't scored in the knockout stage, but group
they haven't
stage
scored in the knockout stage. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Portugal to win 2-0, for instance, is 1.9, considering that Ghana is very poor when it comes to scoring, as you were analyzing. Guys, this is it for the 4 games. Which is your favorite bet, Dani, for this match day?
Brazil to win against Serbia, 147.
Canariña, you are wearing even the jumper.
Yeah,
Leo,
yeah.
yours?
I went for the same one. Yeah, I had that one. Brazil to win.
And your ACCA, Leo?
I will go for goals over 2.5 on Brazil's game. Also, Brazil Asian handicap minus 0.25. I know it's at a very low rate. And then Uruguay Asian handicap 0 for the first half. So all the 3 of these tips give me an ACCA of 4.74.
And yours, Dani?
Uruguay, South Korea X2, so South Korea not to lose. Portugal to beat Ghana, and Brazil, Serbia over 1.5 goals. Put it all together, 431.
Surprise. Then for South Korea, I encourage everyone also to try our tip section. You can also place your tips in the Oddspedia website and become a very good tipster as Dani and as Leo. Thank you, Dani. Thanks, Leo. Remember also to leave your comments in the video. And of course, press the like and subscribe. See you guys. Enjoy the World Cup.
Bye-bye. Ciao. Ciao.